Let's talk about a new class of rechargeable batteries. So these are lithium-ion batteries. They're in the AA form factor, and they provide 1.5 volts. To do that, they have a lithium-ion battery cell inside that's nominally 3.7 volts internally, and a little circuit, like a battery management system, that also steps down to 1.5 volts. So they're an active battery in that they have a circuit that will supposedly prevent against over discharge, low voltage. When it gets discharged all the way, it will disconnect the battery from the cell inside. Interestingly, it will short the negative side to the positive side. So if you have two batteries in a flashlight and one of them shuts down, it'll still transfer power from the bottom battery through the top battery, and your flashlight will run at half brightness until the bottom battery shuts down. So I think if you were to put enough of these in series and the voltage got too high, you might fry that circuitry. But I also kind of suspect the circuitry probably is good to 15 or 18 volts. It's some situation where you're never really going to be putting, that many AA batteries in series, just because devices expect to use 3, 4, maybe 6 of them in series max. So it's not like an NIMH cell where the battery cell is directly connected to the terminals. Now, the advantages are it's lithium-ion chemistry, so you get a little more capability, you get a lot more current, it can push out a lot more current a lot faster. So these are really good for camera flash units, remote-controlled vehicles, places where it draws a lot of current. Now the downside is, because it has a 3.7 volt battery inside, to recharge these you need a special charger. And the special chargers put in 5 volts. And so you can't just recharge this with a normal NIMH or NiCad battery charger. It needs its own special charger. And the kits I've been sent to review all come with a carrying case / charger. And you might notice all these kits basically look the same. We have an 8-port charger here, and then these are 4-port chargers. And the only real difference between these two is the position and name that's laser engraved on them. On the bottom, the numbers are, and the model number and everything are exactly the same. Now inside, the plastic color is different. We kind of have a dark, burgundy red, and then a bright yellow, and then this one also has the bright yellow as well. So this guy has a slightly different model number, but from looking at it, I'm pretty sure these are all made in the same factory. Now you might notice the batteries come printed with a little casing around them, and each of these batteries do have unique brand names, and they also have different milliwatt hour capabilities. So this is 3.6 watt hours, this is 3.7 watt hours, and this is 3.8 watt hours. Now it's possible you can go to this factory, ask for your company's name to be put on this guy, give them a file for what you want the batteries to be wrapped in. And maybe there's a checkbox where you pick the capability of your batteries and they give you lower or more capability of batteries. I kind of suspect all of these batteries have the same capability because they all take about 4.75 watt hours to charge up. So I suspect if you're buying one of these three, ignore these small differences in the capability numbers. I suspect just whoever buys them puts whatever number they want on there. Now, these numbers are all below 4, and it takes about 4.75 watt hours to charge them up. So they're in the realm of possibility. The batteries seem to produce, about 3 watt hours, maybe 3.5 watt hours, which is pretty reasonable for a claim of 3.6 to 3.8 watt hour battery capacity. There are some efficiency losses in charging and then also in discharging because it has to go through that, step down circuit. So the batteries function pretty darn well. The only real thing you might be concerned about is self-discharge. Because they have a circuit that steps the voltage down that's always running, eventually it will self-discharge just sitting out there. Now I've found that they'll last for 2 months in a remote control, so it's not too bad on the self-discharge front, but it's not the type of battery you leave in your hurricane kit and expect to be fully charged a year from now. That's what you use an alkaline dry cell battery for. Now, the big problem I've found with these guys are the chargers. And the problem seems to be a mechanical issue in that the contacts, you have this magnet and there's a little contact here, and I think that contact goes down to the base of all the contacts, and you have contacts for the top of each battery. And each battery is essentially going to be charged separately. And when you put this guy closed and you power it up, it goes through all the different charging circuits, and they're essentially all independent, and then it starts charging some batteries. And for this particular one, I have never gotten more than 5 batteries to charge at the same time. And it's not like when it gets done with the 5 it's charging, it does the other 3. No, it's like there's certain slots that work and certain slots that don't. And so after you get a couple charged, you take those batteries out, you put other batteries in the slots. You can eventually get them all charged, but it's not a good charging experience. So this one here works perfectly. It seems to make contact with all 4 batteries. It charges all 4 batteries all the way up. So I can leave this unattended. It just works. So that one is good. Now this guy here, which as far as I can tell is basically exactly the same with the different colored plastic inside. When I plug that guy in, all of 4 lights up, you know, they light up looking for a battery, but one of the slots just doesn't work. So that slot right there doesn't work. It's not a problem with the battery. If I move that battery over here and flip down, this slot will work with that battery correctly. So I move the battery over here, and now this slot is working with that battery correctly. And so it seems to be a problem with the slot. I think it's with the physical connection on that slot. And so you can see here, you know, that slot just will not charge. So to charge 4 batteries here, I have to charge these 3, and then, you know, I'll take at least one of them out, move this guy over and charge it. You know, so that's not a good charging experience. Now, I'm keeping these. I'm going to be using them. My NIMH batteries are getting old, so I'm kind of replacing them with these guys. And since I have plenty of chargers, this is okay. I can just put batteries in the slots that happen to work. It's kind of annoying. I'll probably put a piece of tape over the slots that don't work so I can remember which is which. I might end up just leaving this charger out because that charger does work with all 4 slots, and just tell my family, put it in that charger, and then have these guys, you know, hidden somewhere. And so if you're buying one of these and you're just buying one, there's, I think, a pretty serious risk that you'll get a bum charger where some of the slots just don't work well. And that's a risk you're going to have to take if you buy a battery set with one of these chargers. So I'm hoping at some point somebody comes out with a better charger that works with these batteries that need 5-volt in charging. And so I can get a more reliable charger to go with them. But the cells themselves, in my testing, they've worked pretty darn well. I've been perfectly happy with the actual battery cells. So really my only complaint here is sometimes you get a charger where some of the slots aren't making good electrical contact. So maybe there's a way to fix that by taking it apart and, you know, bending the springs out or something, but I really don't want to mess with that. So I'm lucky in that I have multiple, and so I have one charger that definitely works, and the other chargers have certain slots that work. So I recommend the cells, don't really recommend the chargers.